All right. Hello, everybody. This is Carl White coming to you, broadcasting today from the secret headquarters of the Mortgage Marketing Animals / Freedom Club. And the flag is flying high today here at the headquarters. Another beautiful day in the paradise. And you are listening to Loan Officer Freedom, the #1 podcast in America today for loan officers. And you're on the right episode today if you're looking to hear from a guy that's absolutely knocking out of the park. His name is Gabe Winslow, like standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona, out of Texas. And what we're going to talk about today is going from 0 loans a month to like 5, 6, 10, 11 loans a month. What does that look like, and what's activity? And so the idea is for those of you that are new in the business, this is going to be kind of a roadmap on how to do it. And if you've been in the business for a while, listen to this and see what parts of this you might not be doing and implement it in yours to go from 10 to 20 or from 20 to 50 or whatever. So great to see you, Gabe. Thanks for hanging out with us today, my man.
Hey, man. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah. So what part of I know you're in Texas. What part of Texas are you in?
Just north of Houston, Kingwood, Texas. We're about 30 minutes northeast of the city of Houston.
Nice. And you and I were you're in the Freedom Club, and you and I were introduced to I guess the gentleman that you work with, and certainly a friend of mine for a long time, Mike Youre. You work over at his office, and if you want to give a shameless plug, what's the name of your mortgage company over there?
We are Mortgage Solutions. We've got probably like 8 or 9 locations, but Mike and I are in the Kingwood location.
Nice. And how does this, is Mike a branch manager, or are you share that, or what is your and Mike's? I know you work together, but just so everybody has a layout of the land, what's the relationship there?
We don't really have any titles. The guy that owns the company was a guy I've known for 25 years. My dad and him were mortgage brokers together. And then he was one of my clients for a long, long time in title. And he started kind of a friends and family mortgage company. And it's pretty relaxed and low key. There's, like I said, we got 10 or 11 locations. That's because there's 10 or 11 different people in the company. They're all like relatives or longtime friends of his. So when I decided I wanted to work with Mike, we were at another mortgage company, and I said, "Hey man, nothing for nothing. I don't know if this is great or not, but why don't we talk to my buddy Scott?" And we went over and talked to him, and he said, "Hey, you guys can throw in with us, and we'd love to have you." And so Mike and I sort of share coaching, we share expenses, we live in the same place, or we work in the same place. We go to church together, but there's no real like branch manager or anything like that. We're just two guys doing our own thing.
You're two dudes grooving through life, having a good time. So good for you.
Yeah.
So Gabe, you wrote your first loan ever, and I think I have my notes here correct. You and I saw each other at the Freedom Club in Dallas here not too long ago as we're recording this today. And if I remember right, you said you closed your first loan ever October 1st of 2017, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so we're going to be talking about going from 0 to doing pretty darn well. So
yeah.
So how'd you bring the first loan in, man? You're just getting started. You don't know crap. How'd you bring the first loan in?
It was my wife's cousin, and it didn't look like I was going to get the deal. And oh man, it was a slog, but ended up I stole the deal from someone else by being 3/8 of a point better on the pricing and the family connection that we relied on. So yeah, that was my first loan.
All right, well, cool. And I should have mentioned this. So now if you fast forward to today, and again, as we're recording this, so this is now you're officially, let's say 18 months or a year and a half from the time you closed your first loan, right? Give or take.
Yep.
And so for this month, I think you said you're at 6, you're closing 6 this month. And,
yep.
And how many for next month you have on the books already set to close?
11.
Dude, outstanding, man. So you've gone from literally your first one ever a year and a half ago, to this month closing 6, next month closing 11. So let's talk about how you made that happen, man. So
sure.
Dude, just a great question. So much, how'd you do it?
So I went to the Mortgage Marketing Animals deal with Mike. It was his 5th trip up there. He said, "Hey, you gotta go hear this guy Carl White. He's great." And I'm like, "Sure. You know, what else do I got to do? I don't have any loans in the pipeline. I don't have any idea how I'm going to close a loan. I've got nothing else." And listened to your 3-day up in Dallas, and it was great. And you know, one thing you had said was, "Hey guys, this is not for someone that's done 0 loans. The Freedom Club, it's a little bit, you know, it's going to cost you some money. It's worth it, but you know, we don't take people and take them from 0 loans to 4. We take people from 4 loans to 12, or from 10 to 25, or from 25 to 50. So, you know, I want you guys to soak it up. I want you to learn. I want you to listen. But, you know, this pitch is not aimed at you joining the Freedom Club." And I listened to that. And I said, "Boy, he doesn't want me in there, but maybe I can talk to him and see if he'll take me on anyway." So, you know, that's when I talked to you and Mike, and you guys were cool enough to say that you would coach us together. And just as for the people, obviously, that don't know my story, I was a real estate attorney, and I was president of a title company for 10 or 12 years. So I'm really familiar with the industry, even though I'd never been in mortgage. But I will say that I was starting over. Anyone new to the industry, I mean, I was starting over with 0. Even though I was in title, I didn't know any realtors. I didn't know any agents. It'd been 5 years since I worked a desk. I was president of a title company, managing title company officers. I didn't have any head start with a bunch of realtors that I could lean on for business. I mean, from a business development standpoint, I was starting at 0.
So, and it's funny, you know, when you came to that thing, you said, well, you said, "Carl, this isn't for anybody that's closed 0. I've closed 1. I've closed 1.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, so I understood the industry, but I had no idea how I was going to get my next loan. You know, my wife was basically out of cousins, right? So, you know, when I sat there and I listened to it, I thought to myself, you know what, I think this stuff can work. And I think that, you know, I should give it a shot. And I want to be really good, really fast at this. And I think the best, you know, these guys have a script that I ought to follow. And if I can follow the script, then I ought to succeed like everyone else. That was kind of my thought process when you guys were generous enough to take us on for coaching.
Well, good for you, man. So let's talk about activities. So, like,
sure,
here you are a year and a half into it, and frankly, you're probably, I don't know the exact numbers, but my suspicion is you're upwards of the top 10% in the nation at this point, closing, you know, 6 loans one month, closing 11 loans the next month. You know, that's good, man. That's a great place to start from, where you are now.
Yeah.
How'd you make that happen? Like how do you go from one closing of a cousin to now having a pretty, you know, heading toward a solid business of 6 to 11 loans for the next 2 months? How do you do it? What's the activity that makes it happen?
Sure. So, you know, the first thing is Thors Hammer, Thors Hammer, Thors Hammer. I mean, if you don't know anyone in the industry, or you're starting over, or you're in another place, or you're in another time, and keep in mind, I had no one in my database, right? I had no prior customers I could talk to or call. I mean, I had people that know me in a different sense, and I did some of those stuff, but that wasn't going to give me any traction. You know, I didn't have any fruit that to pick that I've been planning years and years ago. So, I mean, the starting point was Thors Hammer. You know, just call up those realtors every Monday and ask them to have a coffee appointment. And I did that like religiously. So
what would you say to the people that say, "Hey man, the coffee appointments are dead"? I see that I hear people talking, rumbling about that, whatnot. And we always kind of snicker a little bit at that. But what would you say to the loan officer who says, "Hey man, coffee appointments is old news"?
I'd say you're delusional, man. I mean, this is a relationship business, right? And how do you start a relationship with someone without meeting them, hearing their story, looking them in the eye, shaking their hands, and getting to know them first? Yeah. You know, that's just square one. It's foundational, right? So
on these 6 loans this month, 11 loans next month, obviously none of this is past database because you didn't have one. So this is all new business.
Actually, one of them is fast database.
Nice. Good for you, man. Good for you. So when you're calling these agents and doing the good old fashioned coffee appointment, how did you overcome the nobody knows me. And even though you were in the title business, as far as like mortgages per se and knowing all the guidelines and rules and regulations, my guess is you were like anybody else when they first started and probably didn't know, just being honest, that much about that. How did you overcome, A, none of these agents know me, and B, I really don't know, just being honest, I really don't know as much as most loan officers do that's been doing it for longer. How'd you overcome that?
I mean, I'd like to say my handsome good looks and my charming personality, but you've met me before, so that's not the case. I think I just listen, just be a good listener and follow up. And here's the cool thing about Thors Hammer, man. You call these people 12 weeks in a row, right? You'll get like maybe 1 or 2 appointments the first week, but you're going to leave like 33 voicemails, or you're going to leave 31 voicemails. 2 people have an appointment with you and 2 people tell you to jump off a cliff. Some of them nicely and some of them not so nicely, right? So then you wake up and you do it all over again the next Monday, right? And then you get another 3 appointments maybe, and 5 people say, hey, take me off your list, and you leave 28 voicemails, okay? But when you keep doing it and doing it and doing it, by the 5th or 6th week that you call someone, when you get an appointment with someone after 5 phone calls, when you call them every Monday at 9:32 or whatever, because that's the point on your list, they know and trust that when you tell them, hey, I'm consistent, I'm dependable, and I've got a system in place to take care of you, they believe it. They know it. You don't have to sell yourself on that, right? So you've already demonstrated your value in that sense. And the rest of it is just like sort of being a listener and the love language stuff that you talk about on the at the 3 days, and just figuring that kind of stuff out and giving the person what they need and what they want and what they're asking for. And the cool thing about it is people will tell you what they need if you ask them. They'll tell you as a general rule, and that's what I did.
Good for you, man. And for somebody that might be listening, this might be their first episode. Just in a nutshell, just explain what Thors Hammer is. We use that, and I think most people here know what it is. Somebody might be new, so just in a very brief nutshell, what is Thors Hammer?
Sure. So 35, you get a list of highly qualified agents, right? And you get that on your MLS, or you get that from your title company marketing rep, or you beg, borrow, and steal it from someone else in the Freedom Club. And you sort it, and you only call people that do 8 transactions, I believe, in the last 12 months. And those 8 transactions are buy-side transactions, right? So you take your geographic area and you get your list and say there's 100 or 200 or 300 qualified realtors that have done 8 buy-side transactions in the past 12 months. And then you just start calling them down. You just start calling down the list, and you do it in a list of 35. So every Monday morning from 9 to 11, you call those 35 people. And you do that for 12 weeks in a row. Once they have a coffee appointment with you, you take them off the list and you put them on a different list. Those are your post-coffee appointments. Otherwise, if they don't pick up the phone, you leave a voicemail and say, hey, this is Gabe Winslow with Mortgage Solutions. I'd love to have a cup of coffee with you, hear your story, and see what makes you so awesome. And then I'll leave my number and I say, look forward to hearing from you. And this probably isn't a big secret to anyone who's ever done the dialing for dollars. No one's ever going to call you back on that, right? But I say no one. I had one agent ever call me back from a voicemail. But then you do the same thing, and if they tell you they don't want on, then you take them off and you replace them on the list with someone else. So every Monday you're calling 35 people, and they're more or less the same 35 people if you haven't talked to them and you haven't moved them off your list for having a coffee appointment or disinterest in having a coffee appointment. So you do that 12 weeks in a row, and once there's 12 weeks without getting an answer from them, you take them off the list and replace them with someone else in the same way as if someone else had asked you to take them off the list. And you just say, hey, can I have a cup of coffee with you? And, hope that you get them to say yes.
Pretty simple stuff, isn't it? So I got a question for you, my man.
Yeah.
I always wonder about this. Man, there's loan officers that pay thousands and thousands of dollars not to pick up a phone. And I've always thought, the amount of energy that so many loan officers spend in the avoidance of picking up the phone, it's so much less energy just to call. I tell you, man, I think people ask me, Carl, what's the number one tool that you use in your business that has the most effect? And I'd say it's the phone. So what would you say to that person that like they're hesitant to pick up the phone? Like what do you think it is that keeps them from picking up the phone? Why are they spending all this money to try to avoid picking up the phone? What do you think that's caused from, Gabe?
I'm betting that it's fear.
How did you, in your case, how do you do you feel the fear and just do it anyway, or do you not have the fear? Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, man, no one wants to be told no. It's not great, but here's the thing. So whatever story you're telling yourself in your head, and I've done sales a little bit when I was president of a title company, I 23, 24 years old, right? It was 2003, right during the height of the refinance boom. My dad was a mortgage guy. I had another couple of people that were mortgage guys, and everything was easy. But I knew I was going to have to get to widen my customer base, right? So the first time I went out on a charm offensive was bringing people breakfast to their office, right? And I got to that first appointment, and man, I was scared to death. I sat there petrified in my truck for like 15 minutes. I was praying. I was shaking. I was like, this is just going to be horrible. I don't want to do this. I'm like 23, 24 years old. I don't know anyone. This is going to be awful. I mean, I was praying, literally. I was on my knees in my truck praying, and finally got out. And that meeting, it kind of sucked. But, I fumbled around. I was terrible. But the guy shook my hand afterwards and said, hey, I'll send you something. And then like a week later, he did, right? So it got to be the point in time where, I dread it for a little bit. And then when you start seeing business roll in, all of a sudden it starts getting exciting. Same thing with the coffee appointment, man. I didn't want to call someone. I'm like a stranger in the mortgage business now. It wasn't like that crisis of confidence I had at 24, because I had a little bit of sales, but not a lot. And it's been a long time since I sold. But it was, I dreaded it. I didn't like it. And then by like week 4 or 5, on Sunday night, I'd start looking forward to Monday, and I'd start like thinking about all the people that I'd call, and I'd say, hey, I'm going to make 35 phone calls. 2 people are going to tell me no way. I'm going to leave 31 voicemails, but I'm going to go on 2 coffee appointments this week, or 3 coffee appointments this week. And one of them is going to like me, and one of them is going to send me a deal, and that deal is going to be worth $4,000, and that's going to put food on the table. And then all of a sudden I started to like Mondays a lot, and I started to enjoy getting on the phone.
Yeah, because dude,
absolutely.
I mean, if you just look at the numbers, and whether the average, and people that listen to this podcast are all across the nation. Some of you are in higher, more affluent areas, or even higher cost of living areas like San Diego, or where you are in Houston or wherever. And some might be in areas where the average loan amount might be $100,000, but give or take, we always kind of use the number of making $2,000 per loan. Some might be more, some might be less. That's just easy math. So, dude, you've gone from like zero in monthly income from mortgages. Not you didn't have something before.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You went from zero to, if we just insert in the number of 2,000 to this month would be 12 grand, and next month would be 22 grand. Dude, that's freaking awesome. That's
yeah. No, it's been, hey, it's not all sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, right? I mean, I can tell you last year, before I joined the Freedom Club and before I got on the thing, I started my Thors Hammer in November, and no one would go on a coffee appointment with me between Thanksgiving and New Year's. I've just decided that I'm never going to make an outbound phone call to a stranger anymore between Thanksgiving and New Year's after that first year of grinding away. So really, I would say that I started in full force, January 1st, or January 2nd, and I had no one on my board. I had no one that I was dealing with, and I had no idea where my next loan was coming from, right? And I was fortunate enough to close 43 deals in my first calendar year, in my first real year in implementing y'all's system. So I went from 0 deals to 43 deals in year 1. And this year I'm tracking for 100 deals. And I don't want people to think that like, hey, I went from 6 to 11 from March to April, and all of a sudden I've doubled my business. It's it's the story that everyone knows. I had 8 on my board for March, and I had 9 in April, and we pushed 2 deals from from March to April. So that's why it ended up being 6 and 11. So, I mean, it just happened to be the fluke on when the calendar lay. But yeah, I mean, I think my new normal is, you know, I think I'm going to hit 100 or 120 deals this year in year 2.
Good for you, man. Dude, I have to tell you, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And when I heard that you had partnered up with Mike Durr, Mike and I have known each other a long time. And I could see your energy, and I just knew it was going to be a good thing for you, and a good thing for Mike, and a good thing for everybody. So if you could, like, if somebody's listening to this, and let's not even say they're starting with 0, but let's say they just find themselves closing the same amount this year as they did last year, like they're stagnated, whether that number is 0 or whether that number is 30 loans a month or whatever that number is. If they're stagnated, what would be the first thing you tell them to do? Like, dude, I'm at this certain level and I seem like I hit a ceiling, whether it's 0 or stagnating. What's the first thing I ought to do?
It's funny that you say that, because that's the exact situation I was in when I went back to the 3-day. When I went back to the 3-day and talked to you a little bit about it. You know, I went from 0 to 4 loans a month. I was at 0 in January, right? And by April or May, I was closing 4, and then I pretty reliably closed 4 or 5 a month for the rest of the year, right? But I was just sitting out there chilling at 4 or 5 loans. And what I'd done was I got from 0 to 4 by mastering Monday, right? So Monday's your Thors Hammer calls. Well, I was doing just an awful job on Tuesday, right? I learned how to win on Monday. I'm doing fine on Wednesday, but I've got such a small database that, you know, I mean, I had 43 referrals. I had 43 people in my database. I got 6 referrals last year out of that. That's pretty good, right? When you,
yeah,
right.
That's a good average.
The thing is, absolutely, it's a good average. But winning Wednesday, that's database day. That's not going to do anything for me in the long term. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm grateful for the 6 loans, and it's worth doing. But, you know, when I've got 600 people in my database, then winning Wednesday is going to be really important to what I'm doing. But, you know, in year 2, winning Wednesday just doesn't matter to me right now. I mean, you do it and you develop the good habits, right? But, you know, that wasn't going to be all that important. I talked to a lot of the agents in my area. I mean, a lot of them have been exposed to me, or I'd written them off my list or whatever. So I was like, okay, so I figured out how to win Monday, and that's kind of at a stop. Winning Wednesday is not going to do much for me. Maybe I should do well on Tuesday. It's almost like these guys had an idea and set it up the way they did for a reason. Of course, Tuesday is, you know, that's your Just Ask campaign. Which
some people would call that update calls, but you and I both know the update is just the Trojan horse. What we're really looking to do is ask for more business with those people that's already experiencing how awesome you are. So you had worked from 0 to 4, and then you were stagnated at the 4 by doing the coffee appointments. So then what I'm hearing you say is you added in on the Tuesday updates and the scripts that we use to ask for more business. So those people are already working with it. Was that the catalyst that took you from the 4 to,
I mean, absolutely.
You know, like
I
8 or 10 or 6 or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I did 4 in February, right? So right at where I've been at. And now I've got 17 for March and April combined, right? 8 and 9 that became 6 and 11. And I'm looking at my board here right now, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those deals are directly related to Just Ask. One of them is a past client, and then one of them is a personal sphere person who I should consider like my past clients, right? So 5 of them. Yeah, so I mean, literally 17 deals, right? 5 from Just Ask, 2 from past client / database, so that's 7. The other 8 were realtor referred, that were people that I'd met on you know, coffee appointments. So if I would have just kept doing what I was doing, I would have closed 4 again in March and 4 again in April. But I decided to get out and kick it in the butt, and all of a sudden, you know, another 6 deals fall from the sky.
Yeah, good for you, man, dude. You're just such a. I love your story, man. I love the way you just you took the bull by the horns, and when doubt entered in, you just, you know, you push disbelief to the side. You make a simple, small little decision. We call him little guy. Flick little guy off your shoulder and just push ahead. So Outstanding. Well, brother,
it sounds easy when you say it like that, but there's fear, man. I'm not special. I'm not fearless. There's nothing unique or great or wonderful about me. I just, did it in spite of the voices in my head telling me I was going to be a failure, I was going to suck, or I was going to be terrible. I just did it.
My man, dude, you're an inspiration, and I appreciate you coming on today and sharing your story for that's going to help that person that feels himself, stuck at whatever situation they're currently at. One last question, and I don't know, so this is not a scripted call that we're doing, we're just kind of doing this on the fly. When you're at 0 loans, my guess is you don't need any help. And now when you're at, 5 or 6 or 11, do you have have you started getting like a help and assistant yet, or is that coming up, or do you already have that in place?
So actually, when I was at 0, I hired on a loan partner for Mike and I to share, and I committed to that from the word go, because I said I didn't know anything about the business, and I didn't want to learn anything about the business. I didn't want to know how to, quote, close a mortgage. I wanted to learn how to develop relationships, and I wanted someone else to do that. Okay, so last year I had half of a loan partner that I shared with Mike. He hired another loan partner, so now I have a full loan partner this year. And I just hired on my goddaughter, who's 19, to start. She just finished high school, so she's now my daily success planner or manager. So she's been working with me for about 3 weeks, and that's in addition to processing. So, my team is 4 people right now.
Good for you, man. Dude, that's really exciting. So, and it's cool when you can start involving family members. Well, dude, I can't wait to we're going to be seeing each other here in a couple of weeks at our next Freedom Club meeting. So I'm looking forward to catching up with you then. And dude, we'll have to plan on doing another one of these in about 6 months and just kind of see where Gabe's at then, and kind of document the process almost as a documentary. And I really appreciate you coming here and and being transparent and kind of standing naked in front of the crowd, so to speak. I really appreciate you doing that, my brother. I guarantee it's going to help some people out.
Hey, I hope so. And Carl, I've told you this in person, and this is not I guess maybe this is a shameless plug, but Carl didn't put me up to it. Man, this guy's life-changing what he's doing, and jump on board at any opportunity you can. And whatever you think of him, when he seems like a good guy up on the stage, after joining the club, I've found out that he's even better than that. And so are all the coaches, and so are all the other people associated with the organization. Can't say enough thanks to you, man, for what you guys do and who you are.
Well, dude, that was very kind. I appreciate that. And so cool. Hey, if you're listening to this today and you want to go more into some of these strategies and into some of the scripts, would love to help you out with that. We can schedule a call. If you just somewhere on this page, there should be a link, or you can just type it in, loanofficerstrategycall.com, loanofficerstrategycall.com. And I'd love to map out a plan, and we can go over some of these scripts that we talked about. And Gabe, dude, thanks again, brother. I really appreciate you so much. Those of you listening, be sure to reach out and give Gabe some love. We appreciate those 5-star reviews on iTunes. And with that, Gabe, man, I'll talk to you soon, my man. Looking forward to hooking up in Vegas here in a couple of weeks, brother.
Hey, can I put in a quick plug for myself?
Dude, of course.
I just started a website, www.mortgagesbygabe.com. I'm writing a blog, and some people in the Freedom Club have been helping me with that, it's not just Carl that's cool. It's everyone around the situation that's doing that. I'm trying to get SEO up, like my business partner, Mike, who owns the area. I want to be like second place to his first. So every hit I can get on my website, my blog, if you want to check it out, www.mortgagesbygabe.com. You can see how to get a hold of me. And please tell me stuff you like about the blog. Tell me stuff you think could be better. I'm brand new at it, and every eyeball I can get in, and everyone that can look at it in the industry and tell me if I'm on the right track or wrong track. I mean, I would really appreciate anyone check out my site. And if you want to get a hold of me and just, I'd be there to help you or tell you my story or tell you it's going to be okay if you're starting at 0 or whatever. Check out the blog. You can get a hold of me there, and let me know if you like it or not.
Awesome. Dude, that's awesome. Hey, have Have you reached out to, is Scott Shang helping you with that blog?
Yeah, and it's funny. If you check out the site, if you check out my blog, if you go from like the 4th post to the 5th post, the first 4 posts are all me, and the 5th post is when Scott started helping me out. And I think you can see a world of difference.
He's a great
what
guy.
It looks like.
He's a great
so
guy.
much better after Scott helped me.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and I love the way everybody shares and helps each other out in the group. So, all right, my man.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome.
Appreciate you, Gabe.
Thanks.
I'll talk to you soon, my man.
All
right.
See you in Vegas. Bye.
Okay, buddy. And thanks again for all y'all listening in. Gabe and I know that you could have been doing anything, and for the last 30 minutes that you'd hang out with us is an absolute honor. So appreciate hanging out. Appreciate the 5-star review, and we'll talk to you at loanofficerstrategycall.com, and we'll map out your plan for you. So thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.